When I am elbow escaping, it may become obvious to the person after I've tried several times unsuccessfully to escape from their mounted position, right? And all this stuff, right? And they're stepping up again and again and again. Or maybe as I move, they're ripping their hand free, and putting that out. So I have no option but to elbow escape. It's going to become obvious to them that I'm elbow escaping. So even if I follow the process where I make the leg straight and I use this foot to get on my side a little bit, and I start to push, here to feed the foot south so that I can connect my knee and elbow, at this point they could become very tight. A person who's strong can squeeze the knees together here and put pressure on either side of my hips to prevent me from moving out to the side. They stop my shrimp, essentially. So now I need something a little more subtle to move them. So the first thing I want to do is remove the pressure on my hips. We know from lesson 1 that if Nathan mounts me and he wants to really use his mount successfully, he's going to put the soles of his feet together, right? And he's going to be very low and wide, and he's going to force the hips down and just persistently crush me. And he can even check this by lifting his arms up like Superman. Oh, right? And that's the kind of pressure that the person on the bottom should be feeling if you're using your mount correctly. So if someone's doing this, how is it that I can move my hips at all for the elbow escape? It's going to be very difficult. First step would be to relieve some pressure. How do we relieve some pressure? Imagine Nathan sitting on my side. Can you sit on this side? Right? In case you get Tony. If he grabs my head here, the other way, what would I do to relieve some of the pressure of the headlock? I can turn to my side. What else? The frame. Who said that? Charlie. Right? Frame. Look, the frame goes in the neck. And I don't really push too hard or waste all my energy or hurt my neck by trying to free it. But what I can do is I can prevent him from joining his hands and squeezing me. Maybe he does join his hands, but because his head is up, he doesn't have the leverage to really harm me. And this gives me the space I need to move and move. And look, every time I move, his shoulders go lower than his hips, and eventually I escape. Let's explore a way in which we can apply that same principle from the mounted position. The frame is a wonderful way to relieve pressure. It's very strong because it's at a right angle and everything's supported on the bone that flows from the wrist to the elbow. So it can hold quite a bit of weight successfully. And I support it with my backhand also. When he's mounted, I can do the same thing. Where is the pressure in the mount?
The hips.
The hips. So what if I would just put a frame inside the hips? And look, I hold it with this hand and I just create a little release here, a little release. And what does this do? It takes the pressure off and it makes the legs a little heavy, but at least when he's squeezing together, there's some movement here for me, right? Because I have the frame inside. So now taking advantage of the frame being locked in place, which relieves a little of the hip pressure, when I straighten my leg and go to the side for my elbow escape, this is where he feels threatened. Because he sees the hips are loose, and if the hips are loose, it's easy for my knee to come underneath, right? Look, it's so loose, it can just fit. That's what he doesn't want. So what does he do? He squeezes the knees. He decides to use the power of his legs to isolate my hips even more. So when I relieve the pressure here, now I can't withdraw the foot at all. So what can I do? Look. Okay? I use my foot here like a hand. I reach over until I find the part of his foot where it meets the leg, and it's like a little notch. And I get my heel, maybe my own foot, and I just scrape and hold the foot there. Now it's critical for me to not remain in this position. Obviously, if I want to elbow escape to the other side, I have to get this leg free. So I've got to now switch and repeat the process to my left side. But in the meantime, I need to isolate the leg. Because look, if I let the hook go here, right, and I bring this knee out, and we end up here, and I don't hold the leg, all he has to do is the open guard pass from lesson 1. Look, he pushes the foot down and puts the hook back over. And now we're mounted again. So once I relieve the pressure on the hips, and I turn a little bit to my side, and he responds by squeezing tight, I can't withdraw the knee anymore. So what do I need to do? I need to use some creativity to move the leg off. So I'm just going to drag the foot over. And now look, when I put the foot down, look at the space between the knee and the floor. Before, there was no space because he was so tight. But as soon as I put the foot on this side, now there's space. And that's the space that, look, now I switch to my elbow escape. This moves through. And when I move my hips back to this side, it lets me reach this leg over for the hook. Right now, he's trying to straighten his leg. That's what he wants. He wants to get free. He doesn't like this. I'm trapping him. So I'm going to help him. Look, when I let go, bump. Right? When I let go, it's like spring loaded. It's going to fly open for me, and I can replace the hook. Now I just finished my elbow escape to the other side. This is exactly where we were before. Since my frame is already in, I might as well just keep using it. I just switch to the other side. And escape. And escape. And if my foot is stuck here because he's still trying to advance, of course, I just go back to this side and pop my foot out, bump the back, and close the guard. Okay? Let's try that.